This is the Dawn Diaries. Here I share my insides the same I would in an online diary. Now it's time for your dose of Dawn. I wanted to do an intro episode just to get into when I first started with the idea at the beginning of my podcast. I was just going to do a straight diary, an online diary where it could be kind of therapeutic and I could just share my thoughts. But then I realized very quickly that it was impossible to do a diary that did not mention sex work because it has been such a big part of my life and still is a big part of my life. And from time to time, I will mention stigma, but not to be political about it because I'm just not the person who believes I know how to solve anything within the current system we run our world in. It's easy to say, yes, let's start with legalizing sex work that isn't yet legal. But I don't think that is the only answer. And I'm not going to pretend that I know all the answers. There already is sex work that is in fact legal and still remains very problematic in many ways too. So I don't ever want to make this an advocacy or claim to be some sort of activist of any kind. This is strictly about my life and the people I've met along the way. It might not even always be about sex work at all, but I do wonder, there's going to be people that maybe know me and will wonder, well, I wonder why she never said anything to me. And I've noticed people take that personal, but down the line, someone can explain why that would be something that they would in fact feel that way. Something I don't really understand because it's just a personal choice of mine that I've made with lots of people. It has nothing to do with them. That's just something that I'm kind of cautious about, but at the same time prepared to deal with. And another big part of my life has been 12-step meetings. Majority are familiar with AA and Al-Anon. It is an anonymous community, so I'm limited to what I will share from this area of my life. But I will say I have adapted their philosophy in keeping the sole focus on my own experience. And as they say, it is important to share experience, strength, and hope from my own lens. I have through my life experience and perspective on things. Since my own experience is all I have and no one else's, I can reach people with this podcast, even if it just means a place they can come and feel not alone. And positive others just like me who can relate things I will be sharing here. For I have benefited greatly on similar outlets that have helped me in my life too. Like I said before, I want to keep it open to anything. I think it's the right time considering other platforms and social media are basically about showing the highlight reel, as they say. I get tired of hiding the more personal and messy part of life. I also don't find it the best place to use Facebook for this kind of thing. It's just a personal taste for me. I won't be writing. I won't be writing a memoir anytime soon. I've been asked that a lot throughout my life, many times over. My excuse was someone else will tell the story anyway. I'm not a writer. Lots of reasons like that. Down the road, I realized, well, you know what? Like my unique life is in fact my unique life. So I think there is a place for me to express myself and share my perspective because it is my own unique perspective. And I think that there is room for me to that there is room for me to talk about these things. I do understand the importance of sharing myself, whereas before I guess I did not. I don't really know if this is like something I'm even ready for, but I just think I just want more realness from people, myself especially, but people in general. It's just that time where people want to be more transparent in the world. I don't know. I think 2021 is kind of opening that door. We kind of had that in 2020 where there was a lot of people kind of showing like what it's like in their home and being more open, maybe a little borderline weird, but that's okay. Like, I'm just curious to see what this might reveal in myself or any listeners see the kind of feedback I'll get. Yeah, along with stigma comes a lot of shame as well. And I just find it really useful to kind of bring it to light. I always think about this one quote that I've heard, and I don't even know where I heard it, but it's just a very simple quote. someone you love is a sex worker. That always stuck with me because I know from my own experience, the women who I learned were in the biz too, I would not immediately assume were. And there's so many online and out there in this underground, let's say, worlds. Yeah, where else would these people be coming from? If not just anybody you could run into on a daily basis. I don't know statistically offhand what these numbers are. I just know they're so common that they are, in fact, someone you just don't know in passing. But like the expression said, it's someone you love is a sex worker. It's not someone you know, it's not someone in passing, it's someone you love. Anyways, so I also want to go into like other topics down the line, things that just aren't even related to what I've shared today. But I just want to, like I said, keep it open. I want to get into, like just topics that like mean a lot to me, like empathy, sympathy, empathy. I guess the current crisis that we're in, or the current crisis that we face. I already mentioned Al-Anon and AA, and I wanted to go back to the 12-step meetings that I mentioned because I qualify for every single one of them. It's like a joke in 12-step rooms. So I'm in the food program, I'm in the money program. I also ventured into programs related to sex and love. A lot of people don't know about SLAA, but I went into those rooms thinking that I would hear more about sex workers, and I did, but it was from the males talking about hiring sex workers. It was very, very rare to run into a girl that would share about being a sex worker herself. So therefore, I couldn't even share in those rooms that were meant to be a safe place. And that was disappointing. And I adapted to that because I thought I had to or something. I'd hear other women share about, their distaste about sex workers. So it just shut me off completely. I just wanted to go back into that saying there is something to that there are men comfortable, I guess, comfortable enough to share their experience, but there were very few women. I wonder if they just weren't women at all. I don't know if that's actually true. I think it maybe there were women and they just didn't say anything like me. That's something that's always been on my mind too. Given that reality TV these days are breaking the third and fourth wall, I wasn't all that concerned about the continuity of this because I had thoughts come up that I wanted to include. I never considered myself a storyteller, or am I into hearing stories? I read only nonfiction and enjoy straight facts if possible. I'm sure that will reflect on my style, but I plan to improve my editing skills for future videos in any way that I can. So I'm here again with my notepad, and I had a few more notes that I wanted to get back into, which was about reputation and caring what others think, still being a big thing on everyone's mind. And this whole idea about sex workers and their lives being ruined after being sought out or found out or discovered, whatever means this happens. And it just made me think of like all the warning signs I got about future bosses having an issue. I guess that was like a big one, like career wise. And it just made me kind of, I don't know, it just always got to me. Like I thought about, well, if that means never having a boss again, I'm sure I can navigate my life around that. And since then, I've been carrying the opinions of others who have no experience anyway. I carry it as my own weight. These days, I prefer honesty over literally anything because the amount of lying I've had to just force myself to do because of this has been just a huge toll on me. Lying after lie after lie about what I do for a living. When I was younger, I would lie about how poor we were, and it was always down to these specific types of lies, and I've carried it throughout, and I've just habitually have lied over the same thing. And now I feel like we're a little bit more liberated these days and more sex positive, and
I don't know, the normalization of certain types of sex seems to be more normal than other types of sex. And I wonder why that still is. It made me wonder, who am I lying for? Yeah, I would even argue that normal sex is kind of a confusing term. Like how sex is normalized in some ways, but not in others, still confuses me. So I just wanted to, I thought that was important to like factor in.
This is the end of the episode, and I'm glad you made it all the way here. Any website that I mentioned will be linked down below. Also, I have a Patreon page, which I will include episodes earlier. We're talking a few days to a day early. And if you want to sign up for membership, it'll just be a cool way to get ahead of the episodes that I'll be sharing with everyone. It'd be nice for members to join for, their own contribution and their continued support. Meanwhile, getting the earliest possible content. Reminder again to subscribe and to ring the bell for notifications. Thank you very much.